We're going to look at a quick introduction to Photoshop CC and how to manipulate images. The first thing I'm going to do is open an image. So I'll go to File, Open, and I'm just going to choose the Eiffel Tower car image, and there it is. Right now this is a fairly small image, and I'm going to want to make this bigger so I can see what's going on in here, and there's a few ways you can do it. Down here in the bottom, I can change this, so I can go to 500 and hit enter, and there it is. Or I can click on Mac, it's Command minus R plus, and that will adjust the image. You can see here I'm doing Command minus, and then I'm doing Command plus. And then there's one other way to do this, which is through something called the Navigator. And I can click Window and go to Navigator, and it's going to display right here on the side. And you can see the Navigator is highlighting in red. This is everything in my photo, and it's also 300 right here because I changed it down here in the bottom to 300, so it's reflecting that. I can click on, there's two buttons here, it looks like mountains, smaller mountains and bigger mountains. So if I click on the smaller mountains, you can see it's decreasing my photo. And if I click on the bigger ones, that's going to zoom in, or I can just slide back and forth. So those are a few ways to do that, and you can see I'm just clicking this wheel here. It looks like a ship steering wheel, and when I click it, it opens up the Navigator, and I click it again, it's going to hide it. So it's docked in this area right here. And for the keyboard shortcuts I was using earlier to resize, if you want to see those, here they are. And one great thing about Photoshop is that whenever you view a menu item, and if you look to the right, you can see the keyboard shortcut. So you can see here, I'm on a Mac, so it was Command plus and Command minus. And also, if I go to File, Open, you can see Command O will open a file. So that's another way. And if you start learning some of the more common ones that you use, it's really going to speed up your workflow and your productivity. One thing I wanted to do is remove this car right here, this purple one. I'm going to put another gray car in there. So this is going to allow us to use a few of the tools in Photoshop and also see how to do this particular technique. Now I'm going to open up another image with the car in it. So I'll do Command O. I did Command 0, so it did a resize initially. So here is another car, and I'll just open that. And there's the car. Again, this is small, so I'm going to do Command plus. Go ahead and resize this car, make it bigger. And you can see here we have two tabs at the top, and if I click on them, I'll flip between these images, and so those are the images that I have. We're going to work with this image, and we're going to get this car out of here, just the car by itself. To do that, I'm going to use something called the Quick Selection tool. So over here on the left are all my tools, and this one right here with the brush, and it's got the dots around the edge of the brush, is the Quick Selection tool. So if I click that, now this is the tool that's going to be used. And I've got a small brush, but I'm going to make that a little bigger because if I click now, it's pretty fine. It's refined, very small. And so you'll see what I mean up here. If I go to the top, you can see the toolbar here is reflecting the tool I'm currently using. So if I click on this right here, which is the Move tool, the toolbar changes again. So it's changing to reflect whatever I'm using. So for example, if I click on the Text tool, again, it changes and reflects features that I'll want to use just for the Text tool. So let me go back to the Quick Selection, and I'm going to change the size of my selections. Now you can see I've already got a little bit selected here. It's highlighting. These are sometimes referred to as marching ants because they're little dots, and they just move along like this very slowly to show you an active selection. So if I want to remove this active selection, I can do Command D, and there it goes. It's gone now. And again, if I show the keyboard shortcut to this, I can go to the Select menu item, and you can see here, select all. Deselect is right there, and you can see Command D, and that's the one that I just did. So I'll adjust our selection a little bit. I'll go up to about 20 is fine. And I'm just moving this right here, this little triangle, and it's moving the size over here and adjusting it. I can also click up here into size. You see I get these two arrows, and I can do it that way. And just hold down while I'm clicking, and it will adjust that size. So I'm going to leave it at 20 and go back down here. You can see now the brush that I have for selecting is bigger. So I'll just click on some of these areas on this car and select them. Now, right now I've got the main areas of the car selected. If I tried to select more, what might happen is I'll start selecting the ground, or I'll start selecting this brick wall back here. I don't want that. So now I'm going to decrease my brush again so I can get just the tires without it going off and selecting more than what I want. So I'll go back up here to my brush size, and I'll decrease this back down to where we had it earlier, so about 5 is fine, 5 pixels. Now I'll go ahead and start clicking on the tires. You could actually just hold this down as you go through and select some of this. So this is good. I'll select the back, the bumper, and looks like the sunroof is not selected. You can see here I've selected a little bit of the wall, so I want to back out of that particular selection. I don't want that. Now there's a history of everything I've done, so I can just delete this particular action. So to get the history, I'm going to go to View, and Window, and do History. This is going to open up another tab group, which you can see right here, the History one. And if I drag down on this, I click the bottom and drag down, you can see the full history. And I'll click the selection just before this, and that was just before I did this rooftop selection. If I just click back and keep going through these, it'll remove all my selections. So this is fine. And now I'm going to click on the history item up here again. By the way, if you want to remove some of these ever, right here, you can click on the top right of this tab, and you can see Close Tab Group. And now the history tab group is gone. And if I want to get it back, I can just go to Window and then History. So maybe what I need here is a smaller brush even than what I've got, which is this 5. So I'll go down to like 1, and I'll just do this, and you can see that's working pretty well, and I can get that. And now I'm going to decrease and get this other tire, increase back to 5, and do this other tire. And that's pretty good. And I get a little bit of the front bumper here, and I like that. Now what I want is to copy this, so I can click on Edit, Copy, or I can just do Command C. And if you're on Windows, these shortcuts will reflect the correct keyboard combinations for Windows. All right, so I've got my car selected, and what I want is to paste it into our Eiffel Tower image. So I'm just going to click back over here, and I can just paste it. So I can do Edit, Paste in Place, and there's our car. Looks like we might have a problem here with a little bit of our selection, so I can fix that. I'm going to go back over here. You can see the car is still selected, and I'm going to click and just select the rest of that tire. Now I'll do Command C to copy. I'll go back over here. We need to remove this car, which is not correct. And to do that, if you look over here on the right, we have layers. Our background is this bottom layer. The car we just pasted is pasted onto another layer. So these layers allow us just to manipulate what is on the layer without affecting anything else. So for example, if I want to take my brush and draw a brush on this layer, it's just on the layer that this car is on. It's actually, although it looks like it's affecting our background, it isn't. So if I click on this eye right here next to the layer and I hide it, you can see our background is perfectly fine because I'm only drawing on the one layer. Now I'll delete this layer because we don't want it. We've got this messed up wheel here that we want to remove. So I'll click down here at the bottom and delete layer. Yes. And I'm going to say just don't show that again. And there it is, it's gone. I still have my other car I can paste, so I'm going to do Command V, and that's going to paste to a new layer. So there's our new car. There's a little bit of jaggedness right here, but that's okay. We're going to do some things that are going to help hide this a little bit. Now I'm going to take this car, and before I put it in place, I'm going to hide it because I want to remove the purple car. So I'm just going to remove, or actually hide this layer so it's not in the way. And to get this purple car down here and remove it, I'm going to take the stamp tool, which is this one right here. It looks like a stamp. It's actually the clone tool, stamp or clone, either way. Now I'm going to zoom in a bit more on this, so I'll do a Command plus. And for this clone tool, what you have to do initially is click on, I still have my car layer highlighted. I need to go to my background, and I'm going to unlock the background. Right now it's locked, so it's not going to let me do anything. You see here, could not use the stamp tool because the area to clone has not been defined. Let me unlock this. So to unlock your background layer, double click on that layer, and then you can just cancel out the dialog that pops up. And if you want to give this a name, just click into the name here. I'm double clicking, and I'll just call it background. One thing to do with backgrounds is to copy them so that you have another copy, and if your background ever gets messed up, you always have that copy there. So I can right click on this and duplicate layer, and I'll just background copy is fine. I'll hide the original, and now I'm going to work on just this one right here, this copy, so that I don't ruin my background. So I've got the clone tool selected, and what I want to do is choose an area that's going to be cloned. And that area is the sidewalk. So I'm going to click on the sidewalk, and I'm going to hold down the option and click. So what it's going to do is pick up this area right here, this gray, and now I'm going to move my circle to this purple car and click and drag. And you can see there it's copying where that plus is, and it's copying over the car and basically duplicating the sidewalk. And I can duplicate the curb as well. But it probably doesn't matter as much to duplicate the curb because the car is going to go there. And I'm just going to keep on clicking. And you have to periodically, as you go through and click through this, you might need to unclick, reset where you're copying from, and then click again and keep going. So I'm just going to keep doing this like we have here until the majority of this car is gone. And that looks good. I'm going to do a little bit on this side, the left, so I'm going to hold down option again and tell it start here. And now we're going to grab some of this left. That shadows from the people there, I can leave that. And now I'm going to start up here on this top part, so I'll click over here and drag and just start removing some of this. And I'll just keep going. And I'll click on this side, get more of this brick wall here, and just drag along. Now what I want, I've got all these people. I'm going to actually click on them and then work my way down. So it looks like there's more people. So I'll click on here and just kind of work down into there. Probably I want to have it a little closer, so I'll click here and then work right here. And that'll just kind of duplicate some of these people a little bit. And I'll duplicate our wall a little bit more. So let's go ahead and let's see, grab a few more of these people, and then we're going to put our car in here and see how that looks. So I'll click on the left of our layer here, and you can see the eye comes back, and there's our car. Now I'm going to click on the Move tool, which is the top one up here with this crosshair and this little arrow. Move our car into place. Whoops, you can see there I tried to move and I actually moved our background. That happens because I've got the background layer selected. I want to select the car layer, and I'm going to go ahead and change this to car. And now I'll move that into place. I'm going to get it about similar to these other cars where the wheels are. But now I need to go ahead and resize this car. So what I'm going to do is click Edit and Free Transform. You can see the shortcut here is Command T. I'm going to hold down my Shift key and grab this top corner dot, this top left one. And it could be any of these ones. As long as I'm holding down the Shift key, it's going to keep the car in perspective. So let's see, does this look about the size of this? Yes, that's pretty good. And I'll put this here, and it's going to hide some of what we had with this other purple car. So I don't have to worry about completely removing the rest of that. I can do this, and that looks okay. Now to apply the transform so it sticks is I need to just hit enter, and there it is. Now you can see here we've got what looks like two of the same kind of images. Maybe someone's head is right there. I'm going to go back to our clone tool. I'm going to click this wall here. So I'll hold down Option and click, and that's what we're going to clone. And I'll just, what we need to do is click back to the background because I'm still in the car. So I'll click back to the background. Now I'll click and clone and just remove some of that. There, that looks good. And there's our car. We need to fix this jaggedness a little bit. And I'm going to go back and click on the car. If we hide the background, you can see it's just the car. So I'll just bring that back. And I want to do a filter, so I'm going to click on the menu item up here as filter. I'll go to blur. I'm going to do a Gaussian blur. And you can see it's blurring the car a little bit, and it's removing some of the jaggedness. And if I bring this up, the car gets real blurry. I don't want that much. I want enough so that the car, you can see it, but the jaggedness is kind of gone. If I go to 0.1, that's kind of too low. So let's see, how about 3? And go back to just 0.2. And this right here is giving me a preview. Once we actually zoom this out to the regular size, it's probably going to look okay. So let's go ahead and give that a try. I'm going to do Command minus. And if you look down here, we're at 500%. So I'll do Command minus and just keep zooming out. We're at 400 now, 300, 200, 100. And at regular size, you really can't tell that we just pasted that car in there. So that is a very useful technique to replace things. We made use of the clone tool, and we saw how to manage our layers here. And we also did some transforming of this car to resize it. Now this car is still on its own layer, so if we ever just hide this, you can see the car is completely gone, and then we just bring it back. So those are some great ways to put images into another image. Now there are a few other things we can do if we want to make some adjustments to this car. And this is kind of just going to give you some more overview of the tools inside of Photoshop CC. I've got the car selected, the layer selected. There's opacity up here. So if I want to change this a little bit, maybe this car is too bright or something, I can start adjusting the opacity. You can see the car is kind of getting invisible or see-through. So I may want to do something to it depending on the light that's coming out of the sky or how bright the other cars are. So that's all the way. And again, I can click on the word here and just slide back and forth like this. So if I leave it at 80, high 80s, right there, just above mid, that looks pretty good. And I'm just manipulating the one layer you can see the opacity is not affecting our background. So if I click the background and I start adjusting this opacity, the background starts fading, but that car remains there and looks fine. So I'm going to bring that back. There's some other very interesting tools you can use to manipulate coloring on this car that we're going to go ahead and look at. One is to apply some adjustments to the car. So if I click layer and I go to new adjustment layer and I do hue saturation, and let's see, I want to do black and white. If I bring the saturation down all the way, you can see what happens. The whole photo turns into a black and white. And this looks really good. And it's manipulating the whole photo because you can see our new layer here, this adjustment layer, is on top of all these other layers, so it's going to apply to everything. Now if I take this hue saturation layer and drag it down below the car layer, just dragging it down, place it there, the car is not affected by that. It's only affecting now the background. And if I hide this hue saturation, you can see the car is still staying with its same coloring. So I'm just going to bring that back up here, turn it back on, and we're going to do a few other things. I'm going to go ahead and turn this off, and we're going to add a new adjustment. So let's click layer, and we're going to add a new adjustment for, let's go with curves. And this is going to be a pretty good one that you're going to like. And I'll just click yes. Curves 1 is fine. It's a good name for now. So if I click on this line in the middle here and drag it up, watch what happens to our sky and to all of our colors. They're getting brighter. This is basically doing a contrast. And if I drag more, it's going to get wider and wider and wider. But we've got this nice blue sky with clouds that are visible. And if I drag down and I bow this line towards the bottom right, watch what happens. It's going to bring in some really great detail into the sky. And you can drag your mouse and kind of figure maybe where you want this to go and see what might work for you. So compared to this, and then if I drag down like this, now let's turn this on and off and see. You can see there's a little bit more detail whenever we apply that curve. And then if we apply our black and white, we have that. Now you can see I'm toggling this layer. And actually I like this here better. I'm going to go ahead and move this by clicking. I like the curve adjustment because it brings in a little bit more detail. So we have black and white, and then we have our curve adjustments, both two really nice adjustments that we've added here. And the black and white was very simple. All we did was just decrease our saturation. And those are a few interesting techniques that you can do to quickly add some more detail to any photo. So if your photo, I'm going to turn this black and white off. If your photo had a white sky, but you could see little traces of clouds, you can just go ahead and do a curve adjustment layer, decrease it like I did, and it's going to bring those clouds in for you a little bit. And if you want it just to apply to your background, you could, like we did earlier, drag that layer down, and whatever's below that layer is what gets affected. So if you drag the curves layer down below the car, only the background gets affected. So that's a way to just adjust your background and not anything else that you might have as a new layer. Now what if we want to, I don't know, maybe circle the Eiffel Tower and put some text in here? So let's see, what can we do? If we click on our text tool and start typing here. This is kind of big, so I may want to decrease it a little bit. And now I'm going to click on our Move tool. I'm going to drag, because this text is on a new layer. You can see here we've got our text layer. And if I click Control T, I can transform this text. So I'm going to hold down my shift key again and click on the bottom and just make this a little bit smaller. And just to give it a little more interest, I'm going to rotate it a little bit and then drag it down like this and hit enter. There we go. And how about if we had a light up here at the top? Because this looks like it's maybe getting dusk. It looks like it's starting to fade into night. So if we had a light up here at the top, that would be pretty interesting. I'm going to add a new layer. So down here at the bottom, I'll just click on this icon, create new layer. And here's our new layer. I'm going to call it light. And now I'm going to add a new light source. To create this light at the top right here, we're going to select a brush. So I'll click on our brush over here. And one thing about the toolbar, if you hold down, you can see these little tiny triangles in the bottom right of some of these icons. The move tool doesn't have one, but all these others do. If you hold down your mouse, it shows you a selection of other similar tools that you can also choose from. So just that's what that means. If I click again, they go away. So I've got my brush selected, and the top menu bar has changed to reflect that particular tool. And what I want is a soft brush. Let's see. If I select 21, that's too big. I want this circle to be about the size of the top of the tower. I'm going to select this. I want it to be a little bit bigger, maybe a 9. I think a 9's good, so 9 is fine. I'm sorry, 45 is fine. And this is a soft one. You can see here it's kind of fuzzy on the edges, and this 19 is not fading or anything. It's just all white. That means it's got a hard edge to it. You can see the hardness here is 0%. So that means if I select this top one, it's 100%. So I'm going to go back to what we had, which is our 45, and that's a good size for this. Now I need to change the color. Down here, I've got two colors, black and white. So I'll just click on this one in the front, which is the foreground color, and I'll click. And here's some values that you need to use that are going to make a fairly good glow, especially in this black and white. So I'm going to go with 165. For our G value, I'll do 140, and then I'm going to do 51. So just type those values in to get this yellow creamy color here. And I'll click OK. Now I'm going to click the top of the tower about right here. And that's going to do that. And then I'm going to select a smaller brush. So I'm going to go down to like 20, 21 maybe. No, smaller. Go to 13, and I'll click again in the middle. And actually, we can probably do something a little bigger. If I do this 100, what does that look like? That's okay. May want to decrease that. So let's see. I'm going to bring up our, not our navigator, but our history. Go to Window, History, and take out that last one and get something not quite as big. 65 should work. So I'll put that here and move it a little bit. I'm just using my arrows because I've got the move tool selected, so I'm just using my arrows to get that kind of into place. And I'll click this to hide it, and there's a little bit of glow. If I move this up a little bit, that looks all right. So that's basically it. We've got a little bit of text on here, and for this text, a quick tip. Earlier I just clicked and I started typing, so that's called point text. And there's another type of text that you can use, and you can see here this added a text layer, which I don't want right now. But I've got my text tool selected. I'm going to click and drag. I need to remove this one here. So let me get that out. I'll click and drag, and that's going to do what's called area text. Now, if I type in here something like, this is a long sentence, you can see what's happening is it's wrapping. It's trying to stay within this area that I've dragged out. Earlier with our point text, when I was typing, it just kind of ran off out of the image. Now, if I click on the bottom here of this corner and drag, our other text starts coming in, and it's going to try and keep itself in this box, and it's hyphenating the words here, and you can actually adjust that so it doesn't do that kind of thing. But let's see, if I drag this corner, you can see what's happening. It's adjusting itself so that it fits just in here. But I'm gonna go ahead and remove this. For the hyphens, by the way, I mentioned that, let's see, we have paragraph. So if I click character paragraph, what I did here is clicked on this toggle the character and paragraph panels, and that brought up this window here. You can see I've got character. If I click paragraph, we have hyphenate. So right now it's checked, but let's see. I'm going to try and get that to do what it was doing earlier. We've got sentence, and I think it was if we made it shorter, not quite as wide, it's going to, there it is. Now if I click this hyphenate, you can see it brings it down. If I put that back, it's going to hyphenate. So that's what that is. That's how you manage that. So I'll just hide that and remove this layer. We don't want that one. Let's see. One other thing on the foreground, we're looking at these colors earlier. We've got this yellow, we've got this white. You can toggle these by clicking this arrow right here. Toggle like that. And then this is our magnifying for basically our zoom. So that's another way to get at your zoom in and out. Now that we've done all this work, we want to save it. And to do that, I'll click File, Save. And I can select my location. And what I have initially is a format for Photoshop. This will save as a PSD file, which is a Photoshop document. So I'm going to go ahead and save it just like this, and it's using the name from our image. So our image was a JPEG, JPG, and was called Eiffel Tower Car. So this is Eiffel Tower Car.psd. And I'll go ahead and save that, and this is fine. So the PSD file will retain all of our work, including our history, all of our layers. So it's a file we can go back into Photoshop and do editing on. This is a file format that you'll want to save most all of your work in, but it's not a format that you can upload to the web or display to in documents or use in other areas. For that, you'll actually want to save as an image. So I'll go back, and I've already saved, so save is marked out, but I can save as and basically get the same box we had earlier. Now here I can save as different formats such as a JPEG or a PNG. Some of the main differences here, JPEG is usually great for photos. So what we did here, JPEG would be a good format. The PNG is good if you have illustrations or if you have transparency, because a JPEG will not save transparency. And to save for a website, there's a special kind of save that you'll want to use. So if I click File, I can do Save for Web. This is the dialog that comes up. And since this is mostly a photo, I'm going to change, right now it wants to save as a GIF, I'll change that to a JPEG. And I can adjust quality. Probably medium is fine. I've got it on high quality. Then this is actually a 60, so it's giving me a quantitative measurement here of my quality. This will go from 0 to 100. If I save this now, it's going to save at 31.44K. So that's going to be the file size. And this is the dimensions, 500 and 333. So these are the original dimensions. I can actually change these right here. So if I go to 400, you can see it also changed 266 because they're constrained. They've got this little lock right here, and if I click, it breaks it. And if I were to change this 300, or if I were to change the height, the 266 value, they would change independently and the other value would not change. So most of the time you'll want to just keep this lock on here. You can see it's telling me this is going to be 80% of the original size. So if I tab out of this, our image now adjusts to 20.18, so it's smaller now. Depending on the details, I can adjust this compression quality to a medium, and it's going to get even smaller. So you can see here we're almost half the size of what we were. And this is only a 30 image quality, but because it's so small, a lot of the detail will not show through, and this still is going to look really good even at this smaller size. And I can go ahead and save this. I'm just going to call this number 2. And I'll put this in our other folder that we had. And now I'll save. So that's saved as a JPEG. And you can see I'm still in my PSD file here for editing. The JPEG is already saved. If you look, there's a little star right here next to the type of image that I've got. That just says that there's some changes and I need to save them. So I'm going to do Command S, which ensures that now that is saved. And if you want to do a new file, you can click File, New. You can set your dimensions here, and pixels is usually pretty good to start with. This 8-bit is fine. It's an RGB. The background is white. I could change it to transparent if I wanted to use that. For the web, 72 pixels per inch will work. So I'll click. I'm going to go ahead and do transparent so that you can see what that looks like. This is an untitled image, of course, and it's also small because of the dimensions that I selected. So I'm just going to zoom in. You can see this checkerboard pattern. This is transparent, so this is going to be see-through. Now if I take my brush and I'm going to decrease this a little bit. So I draw something on here. If I were to save this, it would save it as a PNG. You would see this yellow, but wherever you put the image, this transparent area, this checkerboard pattern, whatever's under it would show through. So that's how you can do transparencies, and just be sure to save as a PNG. So if I save for web, I will have the PNG option. I'll just select the preset up here as a PNG 24 is fine. And you can see the file size is 4.68. This is very small, and then I just save it and I have that PNG that I could go and use on the website, and anything under the transparent part would show through. If you want to become a Photoshop expert, I've got the perfect course for you, and you can get it at a great discount, but for only a limited time. So just click here to get started, and you can begin immediately.